Hey you, welcome back to Amusement ASMR, where thrill meets chill. Today we're going back to Australia, to the Gold Coast, land of many theme parks, to use the final day of my Village Roadshow 3-day, 3-park escape pass, this time at Warner Brothers Movie World. This is the park I was most excited for. I was most looking forward to this one. It's so very immersive with 3 big hitter roller coasters and lots of fun and impressive shows and characters that you can meet, take photos with, and even a parade. This one feels the most like if Disney and Universal parks had a baby together. It's really quite similar, but on a smaller scale, which is great because it means the same magic and charm, but easier to see and do everything in one day. So, once again, I got this theme park map printed out because the only thing they had available at the parks was this sort of pamphlet of all the Village Roadshow parks that they own together. Movie World, SeaWorld, which we've already went to. See that other video here. And then also their Wet n Wild and Paradise Country. And inside they have all sorts of promotional photos. Here's the Batwing space shot at Movie World, and the Roadrunner roller coaster, and DC Rivals hyper coaster. This one was amazing. This is one of the 3 big hitter roller coasters that I mentioned. Really incredible. And Superman Escape, another very big one at Movie World. And then all the animals at various theme parks, the seals at SeaWorld, and the meerkats and koalas at Paradise Country, and the Affinity Dolphin presentation at SeaWorld, which I did talk about. I got to see at my SeaWorld day. And all the fun moments. This is a lot of the characters I mentioned that you can meet at Movie World. Bugs Bunny, and Batman, and Harley Quinn. Oh, and the Hollywood Stunt Driver show. We watched that together. And the Star Parade, which we also watched at Movie World. This is the parade I mentioned. There's the Thunder Lake Stunt Show at SeaWorld that I saw also on my SeaWorld day. More about the dolphin presentation at SeaWorld. So a lot of fun featured here. And this is all about the different tickets you can get for the Village Roadshow theme parks. And this right here is the pass I got, the Escape Pass, 3 parks for 3 days. And I used it twice in SeaWorld and 1 day here at Warner Brothers Movie World. So, let's take a look at the the map. Right here. And let's go into my movie world day. So, I started the day by taking the bus from my hotel, which was located near Dream World, and then I took that over to Movie World. It was a very short bus ride, only about a 10-minute bus ride. And I caught the bus at 9:44 a.m., which was a little bit later than I intended, but I still arrived at this front entrance right here and entered the park right at 10 a.m. on the nose. So it was actually quite perfect timing. And there were long lines at the turnstiles by that point, but they moved pretty quickly. So I still got into the park right at 10 when the park opened. And I will say, pro tip, as far as those lines at the turnstiles, the one furthest to the right was definitely the shortest line. So if you're going to Movie World anytime soon, keep that in mind. Now, once you're in the park, as I always say, it's smartest to rope drop the most popular ride in the park first. And at Movie World, that's the DC Rivals Hypercoaster, which is number 1 right here. And it's this gorgeous purple track. And it's right at the front of the park. As you enter, you just turn left immediately and jet all the way back to this corner. So I made a beeline for that right as soon as I entered the park, and I was in line at 10:10 a.m. So fast. And at that time it was a 30-minute posted wait time, but they always posted a little bit higher than it actually is at the very start of the day because they're guesstimating what it will become. In actuality, it was really only a 5-minute wait, and that's also because I used the single rider queue. That's right, there is a single rider line for this coaster, and I still got the second row, which was fantastic. Now, the very last row is the same thing as the Leviathan at SeaWorld, where you can pay extra to ride backwards in that last row of seats on the car. But I decided not to do that today either. Maybe on my next visit, because I will be back. So that was a fantastic roller coaster. I really enjoyed that. It is definitely by far their best coaster. So thrilling, so exciting. Incredible first drop with a really fun big sign for classic DC supervillain right at the top there before you drop. It's such an excellent ride. It really, really took my breath away. So after that, then I decided to ride the second most popular and most exciting coaster here in the park, and that's the Green Lantern coaster, number 4, right here, which is this green track, which is also conveniently right next door. So I popped on over here, and it was only a 5-minute posted wait at this one, which is crazy for the beginning of the day. I was in line at 10:20 a.m., so see, I got through that one very fast and got over here 10 minutes later. And I got the third row on this ride, and that's actually a really good ride to get because on this coaster, the cars are in 2 sets of 2 rows. So rows 1 and 2 are together, and then rows 3 and 4, and so on. So being in the third row, I was essentially in the front row of my car and on the right side, which was definitely the best seat in the house. So, pro tip, if you can, aim for the odd number rows on this ride. And this was also a fantastic ride. Not the same kind of ride as the DC Rivals Hypercoaster. This one's a little bit slower moving, but has more intense drops. There is an actually beyond 90-degree drop on this. Some really intense wild mouse style sharp turns and twists. Really quite exciting in a very different way. So highly recommend this one as well. And then exiting this ride, what's interesting is the exit comes out to this side and takes you along a path that goes right alongside the park's main entrance, where I was just moments ago. And oh, look, there's the Batwing space shot up there, which is down for refurbishment at the moment, unfortunately, so we can't ride that one. That's number 6 on the map, right here. Batwing space shot, this tall structure there, so it's your classic drop ride. So unfortunately we won't get to do that one today. And then of course you exit into a gift shop at the end of the ride exit, of course, where you can also get your ride photos, which of course I did. Now this is the gift shop that's right at the front of the park, because again, we just walked alongside the path next to the entrance, so obviously we're very close to the front of the park. And what's really awesome about this gift shop is that outside of it, on top, there are some really fun superhero figures stationed on the roof there that are just looking down over all of us. So I feel thoroughly protected. Now, what I really wanted to ride next was Superman Escape, because that's really the third of the big coasters that I was talking about, and that's right back this way. Number 5, right here, this red track. But unfortunately, it was down for a bit for refurbishment as well, so I didn't get to ride this one either. I really did not time this trip very well. It turns out the time that I was here visiting this park is also sort of their classic off-season, when they tend to do a bit of refurbishment on their rides, so lesson learned for next time. And this is definitely a high priority for my next visit whenever I manage to make that happen. So instead, I decided to explore this kind of front area of the park that has this really cute Bugs Bunny fountain right in the center. Hey, what's up, dog? Oh, and look at that adorable little bunny bum. And then right next to it is this Hollywood sign right here on the map, which really makes me laugh because I've actually lived near the real sign in Los Angeles, and I visited another prop version of this sign on the studio tour at Universal Studios Hollywood, so I'm well acquainted with this Hollywood sign. Hello, nice to see you again. I guess it does make sense for this park though, because this is Movie World, and they do refer to themselves as the Hollywood on the Gold Coast, so it does make sense. Now, this area is also where the new steel coaster, the Flash Speed Force, is being built, which sadly opened after I had my visit. So it was not open at the time I was there, but it is now open and available for you to ride at the time that this video is live on YouTube. So I will get to that one as well on my next visit. But in the meantime, I hope you go, have a go, and let me know how it is. Tell me in the comments if you go ride that one. So instead, I just decided to keep going and head further into the park, starting down Main Street right here, which is a wonderfully covered area overhead. I really appreciated this on such a hot day. And it's something that I think that Disney and Universal parks could learn from. Now, this main street is full of lots of merchandise shops, which we'll be hitting later, and food stops, which we're also not quite ready for yet, and the Roxy Theatre that's playing Scooby-Doo 4D, which is not necessarily that high on my priority list, but I may squeeze in if there's time. And in another nod to Disney parks, there are some fun names and Easter eggs on the windows of these Main Street shops as well. So that's a really nice touch. Now, as we reach the end of Main Street, you can either go right or left. And this time I went left, past the Hollywood Stunt Drivers show, which we'll be seeing later, and then past the Dirty Harry Bar and Grill, which I was hoping to eat at, but alas is also closed for refurbishment. Sensing a trend here. But it's okay, because right across the street is Gotham City Cafe, so maybe we'll just eat there instead. And then past that, we come upon the very popular Scooby-Doo Spooky Coaster. Number 7 here, which was also tragically closed. But this one is closed because it's getting a rather exciting multi-million-dollar upgrade. So I was so devoted not to get to ride this one either, but it wasn't exactly reopening anytime soon, so it's not like I could have made it if I just visited a slightly different time. We're going to have to wait until 2025 to see what becomes of this spooky wild mouse coaster. Now, also right here next to Scooby-Doo is some info about another big multi-million-dollar project that's coming soon. The new Wizard of Oz land. Oh, I'm so excited for this. I love the Wizard of Oz. And this is supposedly the world's first land that's dedicated to this IP. It's slated to open in late 2024, so late this year, and will feature 2 family-friendly rides, the Kansas Twister and the Flight of the Wicked Witch. Oh, I'm so excited for those. Plus, of course, lots of excellent theming. So I am really excited for that. That alone is reason to get my bum back here to Australia and visit this theme park again. So you can bet that I will be back. So excited for that. Okay. Then, also back here in this area, is the DC Supervillains Unleashed precinct with the Doomsday Ride, number 2 here, Doomsday Destroyer, and some very villainous theming. But more on that later. Our next priority is actually beyond that, through the Midway Games area and past the WB Studio Showcase exhibit to the very back of the park for the Wild West Falls land to ride the Wild West Falls water ride, which is number 8 right here, Wild West Falls Adventure Ride. I was in that line at 11 a.m., which was shockingly a walk-on at that time, and I got the front row. I was not expecting that, being a water ride on a very hot day, but I will take it. And it was a really fun and refreshing ride. It feels like their version of Splash Mountain or Tiana's Bayou Adventure, but with more similar to Big Thunder Mountain Railroad theming. Plus a really fun backwards bit in the middle, and then, of course, a very fun big drop at the end. So that was a really excellent ride. And then the rest of the Wild West Falls land is also fun. They've got a general store and a custom caskets shop and so much more. Very interesting theming. Okay, now at this point we've essentially knocked out all of the most popular rides in the park that, aren't closed for refurbishment. So now it's time to do a bit of exploring. So let's come back this way to that DC Supervillains Unleashed precinct that we passed by earlier and just poke around a bit. This is quite a fun area, very interactive, with nods to many popular DC supervillains like the Joker and Harley Quinn, love her, and Captain Cold, who's posing in front of the Cord Industries building, which is basically an evil version of Wayne Enterprises and the company of Ted Cord, aka the Blue Beetle. So another supervillain nod there. And then over here is the Killer Croc, who's ripped up the water line out of the ground to spray unsuspecting passersby. Oh, and then the lovely but deadly Poison Ivy, love her too. And the super creepy Scarecrow, love him a little less. And the aptly named Bizarro, who's ripping down the Ace of Clubs sign right here. So, very interesting. Good for him. Now, of course, the Doomsday Destroyer ride here, which is a suspended twin hammer ride, is also conveniently, you guessed it, under construction. Yeah, just my luck. But this one does really look intense when it's operating, so maybe we dodged a bullet there. I don't know. We'll see if I'm feeling brave enough next time I visit. So now let's explore back over to Main Street and then down the other direction to the right, which takes us past a frozen Coke stand. That sounds so good right now. Maybe later. And the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which is, of course, a candy shop. And then into the WB Kids Zone. Now, this area has a lot of really cute games and rides for kids, including a carousel full of Looney Tunes characters like Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner, and Marvin the Martian. See, now this is exactly what I thought the character carousel in Planet Snoopy at California's Great America should have been like too, only with Peanuts characters. So, missed opportunity there, but I'm really glad they incorporated characters in this carousel here. And then next to that is the Roadrunner roller coaster, which looks very fun. We saw that in our pamphlet earlier. And Speedy Gonzalez's Tijuana taxis are over here, which is a cute little driving ride for kids. And then there's a cute little Looney Tunes splash zone, which is always nice for a bit of refreshment to the kids. And then over here is the Junior Driving School, which is really awesome. It's basically a mini replica of this Movie World theme park that kids can drive around, which is really interesting and unique. There is actually something kind of similar to this at Legoland, California, so it's nice to see they have that here too. They also have occasional characters around that you can take photos with, and I was lucky enough to be standing right there when Sylvester and Tweety and Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny all walked right by me. So that was really incredible. Okay, now we're going to leave that land. That's all, folks. And we'll make our way back out to Main Street to watch Wrong Place, Wrong Cat, which is a very fun show at 11:45 a.m. where Catwoman goes around robbing the actual merchandise shops on Main Street, and then some cops show up to stop her, but then, of course, are rendered confused by her feline feminine wiles and don't know whether to arrest her or hit on her. Classic. And not a bad stunt fight either. So, well done to those performers. Then I stuck around in that Main Street area to watch the Shall We Dance show further down Main Street at the dead end in front of the Daily Planet, which featured some very cute color-coordinated couples dancing and singing together. Oh, so sweet. Now, I was finally getting hungry at this point, but I did not want to venture far from Main Street. So, there are a few good food options right here that I decided to check out, like Rick's Cafe Americain and the Main Street Deli. But what I ultimately decided to hit up was the Village Bean for their chicken avo Turkish sandwich and a Fuse bottled lemon iced tea, which cost me a total of $17.50 Australian. Then, after I ate my fill of a delicious lunch, I decided to browse around some of the merchandise shops near Main Street and pick up a few treasures to take home with me, like this hilarious Acme trucker hat for $24.99 Australian, which I then proceeded to wear around the rest of the day. And this colorful, characterful computer mouse pad for $6.99 Australian. Very affordable. It's got all your favorite Looney Tunes characters on here. I love it. There's Bugs Bunny, of course, the classic, and Tweety Bird, and the Tasmanian Devil, and Daffy Duck, and Sylvester, because Tweety Toddy Da Purita, and my favorite, Marvin the Martian. I love this mouse pad so much. Really great quality and so affordable and nice and flat, so easy to pack in my suitcase and bring home. So just put that right back. Now that is all I bought this time, but these shops had so many other fantastic goodies in here that I was really tempted to get so many more things, like these hilarious and very punny tank tops and super cool jackets, and this very silly Bugs Bunny hat with Bugs Bunny ears sticking out of it. Love that. And ooh, these Harry Potter tote bags and backpack and doormats, because Harry Potter is owned by Warner Brothers, although they don't have anything else themed to that IP here in this park. I mean, they could throw in a ride or something too, you know, come on guys. But at least they have merchandise, so that's nice. But now that I finished some shopping, it's time to meet some characters. So next I walked down Main Street to see what characters were out for their meets and greets. I saw the Flash and Green Lantern over here meeting and greeting guests. Very cute. And Catwoman came out to take a brief pause with her perfect fans. And there's Marilyn Monroe floating around, flirting with all the boys of all ages. Oh, and girls too, really all genders. She appeals to all. We do have her back home at Universal Studios Hollywood, so I have met her before, but it was very nice to see her here as well. But the ones I was really excited to see were my favorite superheroine, Wonder Woman, along with Superman and Supergirl. They came out at 1:35 p.m. on the Chamber of Commerce steps next to guest services, and I got to take a photo with them, which was awesome to meet them. My heroes. Literally. Now, I also popped into guest services right there and asked for a happy birthday sticker, which you can see right here, because I happened to be visiting this park shortly before my birthday, my big 4-0 birthday. And also very fun is that right outside guest services is Superman's telephone booth. So that's a lovely additional detail there. And then, as soon as I was done with all of that, Main Street and guest services, I booked it back over to the Hollywood Stunt Driver show that we passed by earlier for the 2 p.m. showing. And that was a really fantastic show. The driving was awesome. And they wove in a really fun audience interactive bit as well. But perhaps my favorite part of the show were the hosts and their wacky comedic relief stunt guy, Jeff. Jeff was hilarious and did some excellent stunt falls too. Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton would be very proud. And I got to say hi to him at the end of the show while walking out and tell him that I used to do stunts too. He was very nice about it. It was a really lovely moment. Now, after sitting in that hot sun for that stunt show, I needed something to cool me down. So I popped back on over to that frozen Coke stand we saw earlier and got myself a delicious, refreshing frozen Coke for $6 Australian. And it was every bit as lovely as I imagined it would be. Really hit the spot. I can see why these are sold in so many theme parks. I mean, caffeine and a cool-off in one? Yes, please. Now, rejuvenated by that treat, I walked around a bit more and saw a few more characters. I saw Joker and Harley Quinn hanging out by the bank, which is very appropriate, around 2:25 p.m. And then there was Bugs Bunny meeting and greeting guests in front of the Warner Brothers gallery. And Batman and Robin were right down this alley next to the Village Bean around 2:45 p.m. Now, I didn't bother getting in line to meet any of these guys, though. I was perfectly happy to just watch them from afar. I'm just stoked that I got to meet my favorite boss lady, Miss Wonder Woman, so I'm a happy little Vegemite. Okay, now we come to the best part of the day, the part I have been most eagerly waiting for, and that's the parade. It's called the Star Parade, and it was stepping off at 3:30 p.m. So I found an ideal spot nice and early along Main Street, and the street started to fill up around me about 15 to 30 minutes before the start time. It was a pretty quiet day though, so even as it filled in, there were still some spots left to stand with a decent view, so that was very nice. I did not feel pressed for space or time. But if you do go on a more crowded day, here's my parade pro tip, which really actually applies to any theme park. Look for a spot in front of a lamppost or pole that you can stand or sit in front of to watch the parade, because then you don't have to worry about blocking anyone's view if you decide to stand. I did that here today, and I do it all the time in Disneyland, and it works like a charm every single time. So I found my ideal spot here for the Star Parade today, and what a lovely parade it was. Star Parade indeed. It started out with one of the biggest and brightest stars, Marilyn herself, driving by and waving to her adoring fans. And then Bugs and Babs Bunny, so cute together. And there they go, a receding hairline. Next, we've got Scooby-Doo and the gang. We also get to see them at Universal Studios Hollywood, but I'm glad they joined us here as well. Oh, hi, Scooby. So sweet. And then here comes Daffy Duck in possibly the coolest car ever. Oh, I want one. What? I can't? That's despicable. Well, it's okay, because here are Joker and Harley Quinn again to distract us. Then the adorable Tweety Bird in a Main Street trolley car. And of course, Sylvester bringing up the rear. And then, here we go, the superhero assemble moment. The Flash, Robin, Wonder Woman, Supergirl, and Green Lantern all walking along together just like in a slow motion movie sequence. Here we go, slow it down. Oh yeah. And if you wondered where Superman is, he's right here. He gets his own huge float all to himself. Well, he is the most powerful, so I guess it makes sense. And then Catwoman comes next on her own too, of course. You know how solitary cats can be. Oh, and then the Dark Knight himself. He is vengeance. He is justice. He is the Knight. He is Batman. And then, if you thought that was the end, guess what? They turn around and come right back the other way. So they end where they began. That's really nice. So you get to see all of those stars again one more time. That's such a nice trick to make really good use of a short parade route and make sure everyone gets a good view. Oh, and get a high five from Wonder Woman. Hey. Made my day. Okay, now my life is complete. And now, after the parade, the day is starting to wrap up, and we have done all the things we came here to do that, aren't closed. So we just have enough time for a couple more rides before the day ends. So I decided to try and ride those two most amazing roller coasters again from the beginning of the day. But on the way there, coming down towards those two coasters, that I'm sure you can guess which ones they are, I noticed that the Justice League 3D ride had no wait. That's right here, number 9 on the map. So I thought it would be fun to ride this one real quick first and see how it compares to the Justice League ride at Six Flags Magic Mountain. So I entered that queue at 3:40 p.m. and it was indeed a complete walk-on, basically empty, and was also super similar to the Magic Mountain version of this ride. The entrance and the queue, the ride vehicles, and the shooter style elements of the game. One nice difference, however, was that on this one you can actually see where your laser is pointing, which makes it much easier to aim. It also has some slightly different scenes, which was also nice, and all in all, a very enjoyable ride. And then, after that very quick slight detour, I made my way back to the DC Rivals Hyper Coaster at 3:54 p.m. Now, I decided to do this one first, just in case the queue ended up being super long and I only had time to ride one more of the two coasters. This one was slightly more important to me to ride one more time. I did like this one slightly better. But it turned out to only be a 30-minute wait. So I got in very quickly and I got the last row this time, row number 10, which is right before the backwards riders. So I got so much airtime on that ride. It was fantastic. And then I had time to hop into line for the Green Lantern coaster at 4:30 p.m. and this one shockingly only had a 5-minute wait, which is crazy. And this time I got the back row of the pairs of rows and on the left side this time, which is definitely not as exciting as the front row or the right side, so keep that in mind. But still a fantastic coaster and a great way to end my day at Warner Brothers Movie World on the Gold Coast of Australia. Okay. Well, thanks heaps for joining me on this last day of my recent Aussie adventures. I will defo be back for more adventures once the brand new lands and rides are open, and also ideally when fewer rides are closed for refurbishment. But until then, I hope that I made your day a little bit happier and tinglier and more magical, or at least more amusing. Now, please go watch another video because, that's how the YouTube algorithm works and all. Like this one that future me is showing you right now. Thanks, future me. And thank you again for watching. I will see you next time. Cheers.